You hit upon a new method of activation. How would you call it? Sexual energy? Organ radiation?
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Solar One Sci-Fi Podcast. I'm Michael Ball. I'm joined this week, or this episode rather, by Malcolm Patterson. Now Martin, but he'll be back hopefully soon. So Malcolm, how are you, matey?
Not too bad. You?
Yeah, not bad. Sort of been keeping busy. Not very impressed with the weather this year outside in the UK. It's been really cold and miserable, so I haven't got much of a suntan yet this year. So hopefully that's going to be changing soon. Yeah, this should be a good episode because what we always try and do is we always try to work out sort of films which are sort of somewhat rarities. Now, Malcolm and Martin are both experts on films that even I've never heard of. When I started this podcast 6.5 years ago, I had no idea of how many movies that have just bypassed me in the sci-fi genre. And both of you have pointed me to some real gems. And so Malcolm and I were talking about potentially two movies. I watched The Quiet Earth, a New Zealand movie, over the weekend, which I've seen before, which I quite liked. And you recommended Android from 1982. So I've watched both. And I think it's obviously worked out this week that it's going to be Android, but potentially next time we might do The Quiet Earth, maybe if you're up for that, as there's not a lot of mainstream movies or TV shows at the moment that we're focusing on. But before we go on about the movie, that should be interesting because it is quite unusual. Anything you've heard about you want to talk about currently at the moment?
Let me think now. Now, first off, I watched The Quiet Earth yesterday as well, so we can definitely do that next time. Actual stuff coming up now. I've kind of taken my foot off the pedal on Voyager at the moment.
Oh, okay.
Not for any reason. I just got a bit Voyager fatigued on it.
You have been binge watching, haven't you? Yeah, you have watched a lot.
My next episode's the one with a Ferengi come back, so I'll pick up with it again in a little bit.
Yeah, False Prophets, that one is called.
I watched the film. A guy at work here has been on at me for months because he knows all I do is watch films all day at work, and he's been on at me to watch this Predestination.
Yeah, you mentioned that. I've heard of it, but I don't think I've seen it.
You need to watch that, and we need to review it. Definitely.
Right.
Definitely.
We'll put it on the list.
I'm not going to say anything about it because it is the kind of film you just want to go in knowing nothing.
So not even the basic storyline, plotline?
Nope.
All right.
It's a time travel film. That's it. That's all you need to know.
Oh, do you know what? Yeah, I think I might have a copy of that, actually, thinking about it. I've just never got around to seeing it. Okay, all right, we'll put that on the list. I'd like to do Quiet Earth next, though, if Martin is not around.
New Zealand's first ever sci-fi film.
Yeah, I mean, this is interesting because, I mean, I've always wondered about the fact that Australia and New Zealand, obviously, they're two different countries, so you can't generalize between, it's just that part of the world. They've never had much of a science fiction influence, at least in mainstream movies and TV shows that I'm aware of. I mean, unless you know anything that I potentially have missed.
Well, I know sci-fi is pretty big in Australia.
They like Doctor Who and shows like that.
Huge Doctor Who following, huge Blake 7 following. I know they're well into it. I do remember, oddly enough, I do remember years ago, I never watched it, but it was on one of these, when YouTube first kicked off, it was one of those kind of, well, it might have been a TV show, one of those kind of weird things that happen, sort of ensemble things. And one of them was an Australian soap opera, which if there's any Aussie people watching, it'll probably be very famous to them if they were around in the 70s, 80s. That started off as a kind of normal soap opera. And then suddenly it only lasted like 2 or 3 years, but in about the second year it just went full mad sci-fi alien nonsense. So it was just, but before that it'd been like every other, it'd been like EastEnders, Neighbours,
and then it just went this weird,
and then it just suddenly went completely. Like, I don't know whether I knew, because I can't find what it was called. It was years.
I'll tell you who we should ask. We We should ask Nick on Sci-Fanatics, who
Yeah,
very kindly
yeah,
often
yeah,
asked me on his show. Check out his channel, by the way. He's very good on Star Trek. But Nick probably would know. I would imagine if anybody would know, he would know. So I'll have to send him a tweet or something and see if he knows about that. Talking of rarities, I've been starting to watch a 80s UK sci-fi sitcom called Astronauts.
yeah.
And
I didn't know that. You
I've
mentioned
never
it.
heard of it. I've never heard of it. But I watched one episode. So a guy on YouTube's released them at the moment. Just Google, just type it in the search engine on YouTube. And it's from about 1981. It was 1981 1983, 2 seasons. And I watched an episode, and one of the characters does remind me quite a bit of Rimmer. He's just got this.
Who wrote it?
What's that? I don't know. It has something to do with the goodies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So I just don't know why I never heard of it, because I'm always all my life I've always been looking for science fiction, and of course back in the day when you only had 4 channels on BBC ITV and all that lot, I'm surprised I never heard of it. I never heard about this, but I'm watching them, and so far I mean, obviously it's a dated sitcom. It's, humor is down to the individual, but yeah, I think it's worth a watch. I think it's quite interesting. So I've only seen one episode. I'll watch some more. And it's got the guy in it, who played the American tourist on 40 Towers, and he was the Waldorf salad episode, and he was also in The Empire Strikes Back as a rebel base leader, and so he's in it as well. So yeah, it's worth checking out. I'm quite enjoying it. So it's one of those rarities. As for other news, I've heard. I mean, The Mandalorian's out next week, 22nd of May, I think it is. It's not generating much interest at the moment. There's not much of a pre-build up. People are just tired out on Star Wars, from what I can see, which is a shame. Yeah. So, are you going to go and see it?
I'm not going to go to the cinema and see it. I don't
You're going to
think
wait
it's
until
going
it's
to be
out and released. Yeah.
I
I'm
don't
the
think it's going to
same.
worth £18. I mean, I pay, I don't know, £12 a month for Disney Plus. I'll just wait till it comes out on that. It'll be out on that by September.
That's what I was thinking. I mean, obviously, Project Hail Mary is been delayed from its digital release because it's just done so well in the cinema, and that's. But it depends on how well it does. If it bombs, which a lot of people think it will, then it will be released digitally a lot faster, so they get some of their money back that way, which is quite interesting. So we'll have to see that.
Yeah, if I want the full cinema experience on any film, I just watch it on my 3D Quest.
Yeah. I'm still going to do that at some point. I'd like to try that out at some point. That'd be cool. What else have we been hearing? Still no news on Doctor Who. Some people are starting to talk about them potentially going to be a reboot, complete reboot from the start. I don't think
I don't know if I sent it to you. Somebody had made an AI trailer for the new season with Rose Tyler.
Oh yeah.
But they've done it quite well. In that although she's clearly fulfilling the Doctor role, she's not actually the Doctor. It's quite hard to explain without seeing it. But she's got her own uniform, which is, there's all kind of American bands with the red thing, and they've got the gold kind of. So that's her kind of uniform.
That's her sort of like, yeah.
They throw in a companion, a really, really, really shit K9. Which is the only thing that ruins the entire. To be fair, it's the only part of the trailer where you think, oh, this is definitely fucking AI. Because before that, it looks pretty much genuine. You could be fooled by it.
Right.
So this comes out. I'll try and find a link and send it to you. It's taken down already. It's quite good.
Talking of AI, I've been watching a new AI YouTube channel called The Visitors Are Our Friends. And they they're doing AI scenes. Basically, they're doing a alternate take on the 1983 original V invasion, but the red dust didn't kill them off, and it's still continuing now in 2026, and Diana's still around and some of the others. And at the beginning it starts off more sort of documentary. It's like news clips and this is what happened, and as it's going on more, now it's becoming more AI, like an AI episode, and it's like 10 to 15 minutes per episode. It's up to episode 8. It's quite interesting, and I know you're a big V fan, so it might be worth you having given it a watch. I mean, like I said, these things don't always work, but with technology as it's going, it's getting more and more interesting to see what people are doing with AI in storyline bases.
Yeah, there's something I meant to send you. A guy has done a kind of and this is again excellent work. Knight Rider, Street Hawk, Airwolf kind of video together, and he's done several of them, and I think he plans to do something fairly big with it.
Right.
Yeah, and he also includes. I'd never heard of this show because I don't think it was ever shown over here, but a few people have heard of it. It's called The Highwayman, and it stars.
Oh, I have heard of that. I have heard of that. Yeah,
Truck and the front turns into a helicopter. That's in it as well. In this,
I've heard of it. I've never seen it. Yeah,
his work is exceptional.
Really,
but they're all working for like Tommy Lee Jones, for instance, and all his work on that, the David Hasselhoff, the Tommy Lee Jones, it's all excellently done. But what some of the first of the videos I watched with it, the guy was kind of whinging because YouTube have demonetized his channel.
Oh, tell me about it.
And he's going, oh, sign this petition and all this kind of stuff, blah, blah, blah. And I was thinking, well, no, because unless you're giving Donald P. Bellisario and Universal and the creator of Airwolf and Tommy Lee Jones, whose fucking face you've used, and David Hasselhoff's face you've used, unless you're giving all of them fucking, if you've got their permission or you're paying them to use all this, then no, you shouldn't be fucking paying.
And I'm the same.
It's not your fucking stuff to sell.
I mean, mine's not the same, but my channel doesn't make a penny. But I just do it because I just like sharing my sense of humor. That's why I do it. I'd love to make money off it, but 201,000 subs. I've got a lot of people who love the comedy because I've said to you before that I know that there are comedies that you like, especially some of the animated stuff, but a lot of stuff that I used to like, they just couldn't make it anymore, and that's why I like to share these old stuff. So yeah, as you say, demonetization based on that is understandable, because as you say, it's Donald P. Bazario. I can never pronounce his name. Yeah, he's the person that really is responsible. So there we go. What else have we got going on? People are still talking about Strange New Worlds coming back in July. I have to see how that's going, but that's obviously months away. I'm going to now be watching Monarch Legacy of Monsters season 2. Now it's finished. And every time I do this, I've watched one more episode and I have enjoyed it, but I don't. Do you know what let me ask you a question. As you're getting slightly older, are you finding things harder to concentrate and watch stuff, or do you get? I get more and more distracted. I just can't seem to sit down and watch stuff.
90% of what I watch is stuff I've watched before, and it's just on in the background. But
but I mean new stuff. I just can't.
Finally get back into reading again rather than. And to be fair, it's the phone. The phone has killed my attention span.
Oh no! I think it is the phone.
On my phone while I'm watching stuff.
Yeah, it's awful. It's like you don't sort of watch the thing. You're looking at it, or you're scrolling through as the program's on, and of course you never used to have that distraction. And maybe that's part of the problem. I don't know. And also YouTube, you got your all this stuff in the background going on. But I just find it hard to sit down and watch stuff. I just don't seem to be able to do it so easily now. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Maybe it's as you say, it's whether I'm getting older and just getting less of the concentration, or whether it's just other technical distractions from things around. But it's weird, isn't it? So anyway, anything else before we go into our focus of the week?
I think For All Mankind season 4, 5, 4.
Season 5 is
should be finished soon, and then I can kick into that. And then again, the Star City, the Russian one, is up and coming. There's a few sci-fi things on Apple TV I quite fancy to actually watch. There's something called Hello Tomorrow or Hello Tomorrowland, which is kind of. I know Martin's the same. We kind of love that kind of retro 50s.
I've seen it. Hello Neverland or Tomorrowland or something. And it's
advertising.
Maybe there's a second season. Yeah, I saw a season of it where it's like a 1950s thing, and somebody wants to go to the moon, and they've got a base on the moon, and it's very odd. I don't know. As usual, these things have a huge gap, so you're probably seeing a trailer for season 2, I'd assume, because the thing I saw was about 2 years ago, and it was entertaining.
It's been a while. I just haven't got around to watching.
No, it's odd. It's unique. I didn't dislike it, but I didn't love it either. It was all right, but it's I don't know. It's quite hard to explain.
Yeah, Netflix. I just watched. We're pushing the boundaries of science fiction at this point, but it's a Charlize Theron film called The Old Guard. Well, I rewatched The Old Guard from years ago, and then I watched The Old Guard 2, which has just come out, where
Right.
they're all kind of immortals for some bizarre reason who have been fighting their way
As you
in. So it's
do.
based on a graphic novel, which
Okay.
I'm trying to get hold of the graphic novel to do, but I can't. There's like 5 of them, and I can't find them for anywhere less than about 120 quid, and I thought I'm not paying that for a
No,
graphic
no.
novel. So I'm struggling to get, but that's well worth. Old Guard 2. They're worth a watch. If
Nice.
immortality is your thing.
Like Highlander or
Um,
something.
yeah, Highlander. I'm a big Highlander fan, so I'm looking forward to the new Henry Cavill film.
Mm.
I find myself oddly looking forward to the new Masters of the Universe film. Now, I didn't have any of the toys, and I wasn't a
What do
massive
you think
fan
of
of
the
the original
80s live
cartoon.
action one? Was it?
80s one
Yeah.
was shit.
Yeah.
I went into it from the minute that the credits come up. I
Mm.
thought this is going to be shit for one reason. Two, while he's clearly hits the gym, Dolph Lundgren is far too slim and skinny and tall to have played He-Man, and He-Man needs to be that. You know, obviously there aren't many guys like it, but Lou Ferrigno,
I was going to say
Arnie
Lou
in his
Ferrigno.
prime
That's the thing I was
days,
going to say.
and
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
that
yeah,
bulk. And
yeah,
even the guy
yeah.
in the new one is not really that bulked up. But what really pissed me off about the film was the film starts with Skeletor's won and Eternia has been destroyed, and for me it was on a
That was the
downhill
end
from
of
that
it. Yeah,
moment
that
on.
sort of
That
killed it
was it.
straight
That
off.
was just,
Yeah.
yeah, I just couldn't be asked with it after that. But
Okay.
yeah, young Courtney Cox, and I believe isn't it Tom Paris from Voyager? Isn't it
Robert
him that's in
Duncan,
it?
Robert Duncan McNeil. What is it?
Yes.
Is he in it?
Let me just quickly go to IMDb.
Go for it. Yeah.
Was it called Masters of the Universe? That one, wasn't
Yeah, Master Universe.
it? And then you had that stupid little dwarf thing. Let's come up with a new one. Master of the Universe, 1987. Dolph Lundgren, Frank Langella, Meg Foster, Billy Barty, Courtney Cox, and Robert Duncan McNeil.
Yeah. And Meg Foster appeared in Deep Space Nine season 4, Muse,
Yeah, bit of a
and she
minx,
was
isn't
also in They Live as well.
Yeah.
I like Meg Foster.
But also in a very weird film, which I'd love to find and watch again because I haven't seen it since the days of VHS trips to the video store.
Video shop
in the
down the
States.
road.
She's trying to track down organ harvesting, and this was in the days when organ harvesting, the very idea of it was fairly new. So she's trying to track down some people. Long time since I've seen it. I can only remember 2 or 3 scenes. Somebody she knows has clearly been killed, but the guy has this weird kind of device on his hand, and he just basically stabs you in the stomach and pulls your heart out and then pops it in a box.
So like
That's all I really
like a
remember.
Vidian from Voyager or something.
Remember the film, and I'm fairly
Yeah.
certain that was Meg Foster, but I could be completely wrong.
No, but I'm
Because it's
thinking of
a long
Vidians
time
from
since I've
Voyager,
seen
and you've been watching Voyager, so it reminds me of that. So it's
Yeah,
strange for
it's definitely. I will track it down, and I will pass it on
Brilliant.
to you so you can find a copy
Yeah,
of it.
yeah. Send me info. See if I can find something about it, and yeah, it's another one to put on the list. Yeah. So I think that's pretty much what's been going on. Can't think of anything else. So, right, you ready to go into our focus?
Of course.
All right, here we go.
It's the
Solar Sci-Fi
focus of the week.
All right, so Malcolm told me about a movie which I have seen. When I watched it, I rewatched it. I've seen it a long time ago. I have to say I didn't remember that much about it, although I did like the theme tune at the end. I thought the theme tune was pretty good. It was in my head for some reason. This is a film called Android from 1982, and it stars... God, my eyes are so bad. Don Keith Cooper as Max, Klaus Kinski as Dr. Daniel, and Bree Howard as Maggie. And the storyline is basically, it says that a strange doctor secretly experiments with androids on his space station. His assistant is Max, a curious android who wants to see the world and meet a girl. Criminals hide in the station, and it goes where they. As it says. Sorry, it's gone out of it now. Anyway, that's the beginning. And there's also some people that come along and some criminals, and they hide in the station. For reasons I can't even remember why now. So let's just go into the basics. Okay, so what is it that made you want to review this movie?
Um, I remembered it. I saw this back when I was at school, and I remembered it from all the way back then, and it being quite good, and talked about the following day at school, to the
Right.
point where I remember one of the people we were at school with, who was an arse, and I'm not going to name names, but there was a scene, and it was an argument over who kills Maggie, and I said, but it was the doctor that killed her, and he goes, no, it wasn't, and he was adamant, and he was laughing and fucking this and that,
Right.
and he was like, no, the guy went in, raped her, and he killed her, and I said, mate, did you even watch the fucking film?
Yeah.
As in 2 minutes later, when the guy gets locked in a room, he's calling for her. Why would he call for her if he killed her?
Yeah.
And then why do you think Max kills the doctor at the end? I said they could. It wasn't even a subtle thing. It's literally the point of the film.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have it, and I remember that. Watching it this time, I couldn't sort of get my head around, because I knew Max was an android. I couldn't really remember whether you're not supposed to know Max is an android yourself at the beginning of the film. Whether you don't find that out until they do, and you assume the android.
I got the impression that you were supposed to see that he was slightly artificial.
Yeah, because the actor was stunning at that. He was really, really good.
Because he was in Critters as well. The actor was also in Critters as well. Yeah.
Being that kind of childlike kind
slightly
of
Data from Star Trek kind of thing.
Yeah,
That's slightly
unlike the criminal crew, who are just arguably three of the worst actors I've seen in a film. All I could think of is, when you're watching a school play, and the nativity play or something, and the young kid comes out and then stands there proudly, looks at the audience for his mum because he's so happy he's on stage, sees his mum, and he goes, "There is no room at the inn," gives his mum a thumbs up and walks off.
That's the kind of
acting we saw from these people. They were just really, really happy to finally be in a film, and all that. So, and it's just an absolute contrast to Klaus Kinski, who is always phenomenal in everything he's in. This guy Max, who was great.
Yeah, I've not seen a lot of Klaus Kinski actually. I mean, I do know him. I recognise his face, but I any films that you can suddenly spring to mind that.
I think Time Stalker definitely is him. There is one based on the Aztecs, which is, I haven't seen that since I was a kid. Is it called Agador something Conquest?
Well, you can just go to it's a movie database and you'll be able to find them.
That film was fucking phenomenal. I mean, really good.
So the premise of the movie really was it basically that there's this new artificial life and it wanted to assimilate into society and not become known? Is that part of the factor of the movie?
Yeah, so clearly, and obviously spoiler alerts upcoming.
Yeah, this is spoilers about.
You find out obviously that androids are banned.
Mm-hmm.
You're not allowed to have them, but he has one.
Like Logan's Run, very Logan's Run vibe.
And he's working on a second one that's going to be even better and even harder to sell.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going to shut the people that are paying him or funding him are getting fucking cold feet, and they're going to shut all his experiments down, and they want him to collapse it. And he doesn't want to. Then these three criminals turn up. He clearly wants them off the station till he discovers that one of them is a woman, and the android he's trying to make is a woman, and he wants to take brain prints off of her, etc.
To make her more feminine and more fit.
Yeah, basically, the criminals are just basically going to bump them off and get the fuck out of there. Max has discovered that once the new Cassandra android is up and running, he's going to be terminated. So he just goes off completely left field, shoots down the police that come looking for the criminals, and he just wants to go with them and leave. So he's not going to be shut down. And it's that kind of scenario going on, and then obviously the big thing at the end, which I honestly didn't.
I was surprised about. I know you're going to go. The surprise.
Klaus Kinski himself was a rogue.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming at all.
I mean, is it that you didn't know you were that good an android, or was it that you knew, but you were trying to create more androids like you?
Almost like reproduction, almost like a reproduction of his own form.
Yeah, exactly. Or was it just that he didn't know? But yeah, I thought that was a great kind of ending.
So, I mean, the thing is that they left it open because you don't know whether he chose, maybe he wiped his memory of his own origins. And then who was the person who made him? Was there a doctor who looked like him, who was like Sung did with Data, that made his own
Yeah. An original
android
Dr.
look, they look
Daniel just
exactly the
died off
same.
and left him behind.
Yeah,
You know,
included like just made him in the same physical form, and then just decided to go off and then let the android copy of him just carry on the works. And I mean, do you think it's good that it was left a bit ambiguous, that we didn't quite know all that thing?
I don't think you really need to know that bit one way or the other. The whole point at the end of it is Max and Cassandra go back to Earth. They finally go and off to be and assimilate. What I thought was really really odd was the Max guy was so good at this kind of childlike kind of whatever that
Mm.
I really found it surprising that they didn't realize he was an android. I mean, I thought it was fairly. I mean, I knew because I've seen the film before, but I thought the way he is and the way he acts, it was fairly obvious from moment one that he was an android. So I was quite
Well,
stunned when she
yeah,
was.
but
And he was
then
like, "What? You're an android?"
yeah,
I
but
thought
you
that was
can get people. I mean, obviously, I'm not
yeah,
saying that.
yeah,
You have people who have conditions. They have what's the word? What's the word? Society. They're not very good at interacting. They're not very good at assimilating. They're not good at when you grow up, you develop personalities in order to
yeah.
assimilate, in order to actually fit into society. But you
Introvert,
get
the word you're
people
looking
who
for.
just don't. They just can't understand it, and they stand out. Like the focus of bullying or something like that. When people are younger, you get people who just don't act in a certain way. You learn that as a camouflage. I still remember at the same school that we went to that when we were like first years and stuff, and suddenly there's all these older kids in our school. Obviously, we won't say the name of the school, but we went to the same school. If you're not aware of that, but you do when you're a first year, and so after junior school, senior school, and you go there, and I remember the people like fifth years were like they were like almost like men. They're like and like what are you looking at? And I was like 11 years old or something, and you soon have to work interact in a way that you don't stand out and that you can just be part of the crowd. And that's what I learned. I don't know how you learned about it when you're at school, but
Yeah,
you do get the ones that don't, and you get the ones who are very naive and late developers. And I assume that in this movie, although it seemed obvious to us too, it could have just been that maybe he just wasn't particularly intelligent and he was very innocent. I don't know. I thought the android vibe of him stood out quite a lot. I thought,
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what I mean. I couldn't believe they didn't realize he was an android. Because he very clearly was.
yeah.
Especially
Uh-oh. Okay, if you can hear me, you've just
little
frozen up.
buttons and dials and switches and stuff you see being pushed, and it don't look like the crappy plastic vacuum formed stuff you see in some shows. They actually look like proper stuff. And something else that people kind of miss is even when he's watching his vector stuff on screen or you're getting the computer stuff on screen, to have it actually show properly on screen and not have that kind
Visually
of
rather than
flickering because it's being
yeah,
videoed,
yeah.
which was really hard to do. If I remember rightly, Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan, um, obviously because the Enterprise bridge has so many of those TVs around with all the
Mm.
bits on, they're all added later on. All of those screens had to be
Yeah,
painstakingly
post
added into the
editing.
screen later on
Yeah, yeah.
because you cannot show a TV, or you could. I don't know if you can. I think you can now, but back then you couldn't do it. You couldn't
Mm.
film a TV screen; it wouldn't work. So,
It would the
I
frame rate would
mean, I know this was
differentiate.
1982, so yeah, they were a little bit ahead of their time in that they spent the money to do that.
So you think visually this film looked pretty good?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I thought it was all right. I thought it was all right.
Yeah.
I mean, why
Um,
what is wireframe game he was playing was of the time. There's nothing you can really
yeah,
call
I
it
mean,
that.
you could tell it was like an old, arcade game that they've just got the ROMs from and they just put
Vector
it
or
on.
something,
And
I think it was
yeah,
called.
yeah, I know the game, sort of games you're talking about. And so, I mean, do you know whether this film was successful? I mean, obviously, we both remembered it. You remembered it better than I did.
No, I don't. I mean, I don't. I think it's just one of those. I don't know, straight to video. I mean, I watched it on TV. It was just presumably on BBC one evening.
It's
But
it's
obviously,
it's
back
it's
in those
strange.
days of possibly three, maybe only four TV channels.
Yeah, back in this is why this goes back to these sort of things that you'd only discover because there wasn't many other things to watch at the time. Which is why probably I just don't know when I last saw this movie. I have seen it before, but a long, 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 long time ago. Probably we probably watched it on the same night when it was like BBC
Yeah,
Two at like
probably.
10 o'clock
It,
at
it would
night on a
have been,
Thursday.
if the film came out in 82, it'd probably been around 83, 84, maybe.
Yeah, so I
Something
would have
like
been
that.
about 12 or something. So I
But it must have been on terrestrial TV because, as I say, everyone was talking about it at school the next day. So,
of course, yeah, yeah. So it certainly is interesting. I mean, do you think it's a film that could be potentially remade, or do you think it's
yeah, the concept on it is quite good, and I'm trying to think whether it in a kind of backdoor sort of way the idea has been remade. I'm sure that that concept of an android that like Klaus Kinski's character that probably doesn't know he's an android or to, I'm trying to think whether that kind of plot line has ever been done since or even before.
uh
And I'm sure it probably has been. I just can't think of
well,
a
I'm thinking
time.
of like remember there's an episode of Next Generation with Data's we meet Data's mother.
Yeah, yeah, she
And
didn't know.
she didn't know she was actually reprogrammed by Sung. That's the one that springs to mind from that perspective.
Yeah,
But I'm sure
yeah.
there's been other things as well,
Mm.
with a similar storyline of an android that
Not
didn't know
Blade
they're an
Runner,
android.
obviously.
I'm just trying to think of some others. There's just one I'm thinking of things where like there's the reveal of an android, and then he must have been an android all the time, and they didn't know. There is. I just can't think where I've seen
Mhm.
it. I've definitely
As
seen
I
it
say,
somewhere else.
there is the annoyance, and I firmly hate this idea. Blade Runner, obviously Ridley Scott's plan when he made the film, which isn't in the original book, is Decker's an android and all
Hmm.
that. And the reason there's like 12 different versions of the film or something is because he kept adding more and more of his original idea back in until he finally had it accepted that Decker's an android, which is
Yeah.
the basis for the sequel they just made and presumably
Right.
the upcoming TV series. But I always thought that was a dumb idea. I always thought that because I'd read the book first, I always thought that was all just bollocks and stupid, to be brutally honest.
Well, look, I think it's a good movie. I suppose it's time to sort of rate it out of 10. So, um, as you recommended it, how would you rate it out of 10?
I'm gonna give it. I'm sorting on a 7, 8 to be brutally honest because I liked it quite a lot. I don't think it deserves an 8. I don't think there's enough of it to deserve an 8. So I'm going to go 7. To be fair.
I'm going to give it a 6.5. I
Mm.
liked it. It's above average, but it didn't blow me away. But it obviously resonated with me somewhere in my subconscious because I did remember it as I watched it over the last couple of days. I sort of watched it in bits. Um, and would you add it to your collection?
Yeah, yeah, I reckon so. I'm not entirely sure I'd watch it a lot, to be honest, because once you've seen the money shot, there's even less to the
That's
film.
yeah.
To be fair, um, I mean, it's almost like like a film that you could perform it on stage with like 3 set
Oh
changes.
yeah, yeah.
Sort of
You could
thing.
have the
You know, it can
space. You could
easily
have
be
lab
adapted to
sets.
that.
Yeah, you could have like the quarters where the prisoners are kept, and you can get a scene where I don't know, there's a docking bay or something. You could do it.
Yeah,
You could definitely do
it
it
could
in
be
the stage form.
easier
Yeah,
and all that
absolutely.
because there's just not much to it. So yeah, yeah. But yeah, I'm glad I watched it again because I did quite enjoy it again. Like I say, it's not a wow film. It's not the kind of film where I would say to somebody, "Fuck, you've got me. Come on, let's go and watch this." Obviously, I did to you guys because I wanted to get your
What
perspectives
made you
and
think about it?
review it.
What brought it back to your attention? To
I
bring up.
was going through a list of films that I have saved to my hard drive,
Mm,
and I saw it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember that." And that just kind of reminded me, and I'd been wanting to watch it for months, to be brutally
yeah,
honest, and I was just never in the right mood. And I thought, what if we set it up for this? I'll definitely watch it.
yeah. And I obviously must have sort of come across it at some point as well, which yeah, it's weird. So sometimes you look at the YouTube clips and they sort of like look like "Oh, this is the top best 10 androids ever seen on the movies," and they go number 7, it's Data, number 6. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that sort of perspective, and
Yeah.
sometimes that's the best way of finding out about certain. Some things just go on out under the radar. They just you don't hear about them at all. And I mean, I think this film probably deserves a bit more attention than it got because it's like I said, I don't think it's ever been released on Blu-ray. It's released on DVD, but it would be nice if it was upscaled, like 1080p, 4K or something. I'd like to see it. You know what I mean? I'm too used to watching high def now. It's always loses a couple of points just based on the low quality when you see it in that respect. But never mind. Anyway, okay, Malcolm, thank you very much for reviewing that with me. I think that was I think it's one for you guys to check out. I'm sure it's out there somewhere on some streaming or on DVD. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. So thank you, Malcolm. We're going to be back in 2 weeks, probably with The Quiet Earth, our first ever New Zealand science fiction movie review. It's a great movie because it's weird the way they film it. It's set in the 80s. You can see some England-esque bits, or like some of the vehicles, and some American bits, and it's a very interesting perspective on that part of the world, which I'd love to check out at some point. I'd love to go to New Zealand. I've never been, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. So if you're from New Zealand, hopefully one day I'll be on your shores, so that'd be good. Okay, Malcolm, thank you very much. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with Quiet Earth, and until then, live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper.
Beltran, remember those aliens that were the catcher mask people, right? And there were these two actors that were cast. They were from Brooklyn. They were anyway. So Captain Janeway. I mean, they were, we're just gonna ask you if we can, see if we could trade with you and stuff. I mean.
Well, there was one that was like from Brooklyn, and then there was this other guy that was like very English. What are you doing in our airspace? And the guy behind him was going, yeah, what are you doing here? I never could figure out why all the alien bad guys had English accents, I always wanted one to be like Latino, Hey, what are you doing in our airspace, And you didn't even bring a beer?
Beltran tells me this story. He says he's driving home, and he sees these two, kind of gang-banging guys on the side of the street, and they're looking at him, staring at him, and he's thinking he's going to get carjacked, right? He's like, oh my gosh, and they're looking, and all of a sudden one of them goes, hey, it's the commander!
Should have stayed home, robo bloke. Enough.